Hello everybody and welcome to this episode covering 1.20 pre-releases, where we have gone back in time, or really stopped going forward in time, to look at some of the bug fixes and tweaks that have happened over the last pre-releases in a little bit more detail than I have done before. But rest assured, once we've got all of the creative gubbins out of the way, we'll be diving straight into the survival world you know with the sniffers. Now, first things first, something I did cover in that survival world was how changes have come about to dyeing wool. Once upon a time, it was not possible to dye pre-coloured wool any other colour. You could only put colours into white wool, and you couldn't even turn a coloured wool white again if you needed to make a change, so you were very much stuck with whatever colour you put in the first instance, which is tragically still the case for glass. In the pre-releases, as we saw in that more survival-oriented snapshot world, it is now possible to dye any coloured wool into any other colour one so pleases, or back into white. The other thing I looked at were nether portals, and it doesn't matter that the initial going through animation doesn't play here in creative. It's what matters is the animation at the other end. Now that we're in an older version of Minecraft, you can see how the animation just keeps playing and playing until one steps out of the portal. Now in the latest snapshot, the animation doesn't replay on the other side. Just for a little clarity, I'll only be covering the changes that I really think will be affecting your average Minecrafter, which I'm gauging by whether or not I actually understand the changes. As it stands now, dispensing a boat means the boat actually comes to rest on the block below the dispenser, which is easily fixed by simply having a block of air or a block of water below the dispenser, so long as there's water for the dispenser to dispense the boat into. But as it currently stands, dispensing boats under the water, they get dispensed just above the dispenser and then promptly sink. Like that. Dispensing. How many times could I say dispensers in a minute? Here in the latest snapshot, the boat will be dispensed straight down into water, and I was a little bit misguided and actually had to lower the water by a level for this to work. So this is how it turns out when I'm doing it properly. The boat will be dispensed right at the top of the body of water, up to 2 blocks high. Now, there were those signs I wrote to remind myself of a couple of things. Remember world seeds. Yes. Now, this is something that is a little bit hard for me to explain. However, loot generation, rather than being a random event each time you slay something, has been changed to be incorporated into the world seed, which I believe has always been the case for loot within generated structures. This pertains, however, to loot drops from particular mobs. So just to prove this, I'm going to create a new world and then create a copy of it. We're going to see how instances of loot play out. Okie dokie, let's see how many endermen it takes to get an ender pearl. First one did not drop any. Second one dropped 1, and let's further this by killing, I don't know, they don't always drop blaze rods. This one did though. Second one did not. And just to round things off, this could prove interesting. In fact, I might get a smite axe up for this. Okay then. None from that one. Or the second, but I got some bones from him. 1 bone from that one. Another bone from that one. Bone and coal from number whatever that one was. Bone. Nothing. In fact, I think at this point, if I just repeat it back to myself, we'll soon see, even though I haven't got with the skeleton skull, I could be here for days. Recreate that one, should be the same seed and all. Okay then, let's get set up with the necessary gubbins. From an enderman. Nothing from the first, and from the second, I should get an ender pearl, yes. Moving on to the blaze. I should get a blaze rod from the first. Indeed, I have, but I shouldn't get one from the second. Indeed not. Now let's see how well wither skeletons scan onto this, shall we? Nothing from the first. Couple of bones from the second. One bone from the third. One bone from the fourth. Bone and coal from the fifth. Bone from the sixth. From the seventh, it's stony sword. In fact, that's a pretty good landmark. Let's just see what this one drops, and a single bone after that. So let's see how that scans onto things. Curiously enough, watching that back, it seemed that the seventh one, though they dropped a stone sword in my second run, didn't drop anything in my first. So whether, the drops of something held in a mob's hand had determined differently, or whether that was just a glitch, I don't know. But other than that, the loot drops that I got scanned perfectly, seeing as they were on the same world seed. After this, remember signs. Ah, yes. How many letters you can now fix on a hanging sign. You need to switch back and forth a little bit into the next version of the game. So, we used to only be able to fit this many characters onto a hanging sign, and having tested this in the newer versions, I see no difference at all. Okay, back into 1.19.4, something came about that meant, though you could dress your horses up nicely with dyed leather horse armour by going into their inventory and armouring them that way, if one were to do the same by just right-clicking on them, it would result in the undying of their horse armour. And while we're on the subject of horses, it's worth noting that rideable mobs became unaffected while ridden by potion effects that affected jump height, the potion of leaping, and by the potion of slow fall. In fact, I think, yes, while ridden, these aren't affecting the horse at all in 1.19.4. However, having switched to the latest snapshot to do the same thing, we can see the change. Yes, you leap rather far now, and fall nice and steadily. Thank you for helping to demonstrate. And even when applying horse armor, when right-clicking, it retains its dyed colour rather than reverting straight back to brown. It is possible to straddle a block. The game could sometimes get confused as to quite which block you were standing on, and therefore how to treat you. I haven't seen people test this change with soul sand, because you can see that walking on soul sand when one is fully on the block is slower. That isn't the case when you're just off the block. Other things that were impacted with a honey block, it's not actually being stuck to the honey block now, which is causing me to move at all. That's just the piston nudging me at the end of its movement. If I retract the honey, you can see that I fall down, and the same is true of the slime block, which one should bounce up and down on. When one is off to the side too much, one does not bounce, whereas when one's in the middle, one does. Now in this pre-release, sorry for calling it a snapshot earlier, we should see how walking even on the very edge of soul sand is the same as walking in the middle, and it's very clearly noticeable when one steps up just a little bit onto a path block, even though it's not a full block. You start moving faster again, but slower even on the very, very edge of soul sand. Okay. And I do believe those are all the honourable mentions pertaining to changes made across the pre-releases. Oh, thank goodness for that. Back to the sniffers, where I have since strung up the llamas in place of the sniffers, and we're starting to get a few more of the ancient seeds, and in fact, I am tempted to use the ones I get early on to breed the sniffers and get more of them, which will, in the long run, make it far quicker, far more speedy to get more seeds. But right now it's bedtime. What a vast improvement. Oh, except for the zombie that somehow managed to spawn. Ah, a carrot. If only I could feed that to the sniffers. Hey, hey! What a good moment to come along. Ooh, we've got two of the pitcher pods. Now, you aren't interested in the pitcher pods, are you? Like you're interested in the torchflower seeds. Well, how about I get you to breed with the torchflower seeds, and in the same way as your heads frustratingly disappearing inside blocks when you were doing your sniffing animation. In my first video showcasing you, your heads can disappear inside one another as you create, of course, a sniffer egg. Why would I expect a fully grown baby to pop out? How naive I am. Okay, maybe it would just be quicker to let these two do their thing. I hope I still have that moss somewhere. Apparently I am a fool who throws his moss away. So perhaps I will go on a quest for more moss after all. Perhaps using the azalea method to find lush caves, because I get a real abundance of moss. I will, before anything else, however, get a bit of land upon which I can start growing these ancient seeds. Along the riverside could be quite nice. Yeah, I suppose I'd better head off. Those of you who are interested in behind the scenes stuff and are wondering where my perfectly legitimate leather armor went, given that I went to all the trouble of legitimately acquiring it, and the emeralds with which I trimmed it, and the armor trims with which I, did the thing, the trimmy thing, well, I went into creative to make the thumbnail for my video, and then deleted my creative inventory, which had nothing from survival in it, except for my armor, which I didn't realise until I'd gone ahead and deleted it all in one fell swoop, which feels a little bit silly, so I'll see if I can get enough leather for another suit of tragically untrimmed armor. I have doubled up my search on the coast, keeping my eyes left for any azalea trees that might happen to be nearby. But I've stuck here for the very reason that, as well as getting a handy bit of dolphin's grace, thank you for that, I might just come across a shipwreck. And that shipwreck might just contain more moss for me. Oh, would you look at that? That's still much easier than trying to find an azalea tree. And let's pick up some dolphin's grace again. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Thank you, kind fellow. Fewer thanks to you. Trying to sneak up on me. No more dolphins to see me past the next spit of land, but upon recognizing the coral reef, I've let it guide me back to my home. Feel free, all of you, to burn. Now the question is, why are these skeletons not burning? Ah, that's better. Oh, I am going to perish. Good thing I set my respawn point right here. If that had happened at many points earlier on in my expeditions, then that would have been this world rendered an absolute goner. Surely you started burning as well. Possibly not. Question is, are sniffer eggs still unaffected by gravity? That's good. I can moss up your bottom. That's one way of putting it. Oh, this chappie's really going for it. Or at least he was. He was having a very thorough sniff around. Come on, it sounded like you were going to dig something up for me. Ah, well, you, dear fellow, have found something at some point. That's nice. Rather different exclamation from any that a sniffer makes. Yes, yes, set that nose to work. To good use. Ha ha! Marvellous. Oh, that looked like torch flowers. Right then, I should still have my hoe. I can quickly plant these. Don't know if you can get more seeds using a hoe with fortune on it, but it is no longer the case that you can place them down and, like other flowers, hit them with a bit of bone meal to just make more. They removed that feature, which is a shame, but it means that we're even more reliant on the sniffers, which I imagine is a drag in some people's mind, but I quite like having them around and not rendering them moot by being able to just bone meal any flower that we get. Of course, you haven't developed at all because I just haven't been around much. Sorry. I've been so terribly unattentive. I haven't been around much in your early years. It would be quite good if I can legitimately get into the Nether, in fact, because something that I don't know if everybody is aware has changed, is that it's not as easy to make netherite gear anymore, seeing as it requires an armor trim-like thing, a template, which are rather costly to duplicate and not very easy to find, on top of course, a piece of netherite to turn diamond gear into netherite gear. It'll be one of the big changes that people are going to try and get ahead of before the update comes out. But even though I'm a little way away from it now, getting to the nether is the easy bit. There are no crops in this town for me to take. None of them have grown up yet. Just some pumpkins that happen to be nearby. Yes, while getting in is the easy bit, the hard bit comes when you're looking for a bastion, a particular kind of bastion, which is probably the harder to find of the nether structures. It's far easier to just wander into one of those terrible fortresses. Finding a bastion and then raiding it safely without getting completely mobbed by piglins is no mean feat. And I haven't even got any diamond gear yet to upgrade, so it'll be something that it's worth me putting some time towards, but whether I'll actually ever achieve finding myself a template before the update comes out, I don't know. I shan't let it eclipse the focus of this episode, which is to legitimately grow some of these ancient seeds, but I will spend a bit of time around here so that everything can keep growing, everything can keep happening, just getting some bits together to go to the nether. Aha, we have our first stage of growth from the torch flower and the pitcher pod. Nice to see. I became aware I of course had a leftover trimmed iron chest plate, a helmet. I was able to make myself up some more armour and thought I might make myself a bucket to go and collect some lava and water and make another portal the old-fashioned way. But I do have 3 diamonds. Enough for a pickaxe if I can find a ruined nether portal or obsidian by some other means, I can just go ahead and mine it up. Now our egg has developed the first stage. 2. Ooh, exciting. And oh, look at that. Oh goodness me, it's fully grown. Just like that. My word. So that's what a torch flower looks like when it's all grown up. Now, I think I'm right in thinking, yes, it just pops off when you hit it, but then it doesn't yield anything by way of seeds that could help you grow more, which is, I don't know if that was just a chance-based thing or if it will never give me seeds. This is going to require further investigation. Please keep digging up torch flowers because so far you've dug up bunches of pitcher pods, which are wonderful, but I need to test both types of flower. Thank you. Well, now I can place this torch flower anywhere I like. I will place it upon this moss block and go out on the seas in search of another portal. Aha! Just as I rode over a pufferfish and got poisoned. Rode or rowed. I see in the distance another portal, albeit ruined, looming ominously and yet promisingly. In the distance, there are no obsidian blocks in there. Okay, how many do we need in total? There might still be enough here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do think this means we have enough. 10! Huzzah! And back to base with my bounty. Well, because I'm so neighbourly, I thought it would be very good to build the portal here among my friends. I can give it nice, spooky, almost Halloween-esque corners. If I went ahead, carved these pumpkins. Now, short of coming straight to a bastion, I think I'll be calling it here for this episode. I am distinctly not safe here. Well, that did not yield an at-generating in-point bastion, which is a real pity, I think. So that can be the plan for the next episode, trying to get my hands on an actual template. Oh, look at you being so good. Digging up some more torch flower seeds. Why, thank you. And, oh, we have a little snifflet. Hello. You like the torch flower seeds, don't you? Yes, well, I'm not going to feed them to you because they don't help you grow up all that quickly. Aha, we do have some more stages of growth on our pitcher pods here, which is good. The second stage there, they do seem to take a little bit longer than the torch flowers, which is interesting. I was hoping we'd have all the stages of growth exhibited by the end of today, but I suppose I haven't been in the area much. I've had to concern myself more with covering the pre-releases, and I've sealed my fate on the path I took to avoid it, as to speeding up the process of getting these plants quickly. I will bid you farewell until the next pre-release, which I don't imagine is long from now, and we can dive back into the Nether, and I'll probably spend a bit more time here, cultivating these fair, fine specimens. Until then, I bid you all farewell.